Hello, YouTube. This is Noah Tennant and
Brian Robison from Colson Lives Cosplay or Colson and Kids on Instagram.
today I wanted to talk to Brian about why does he do Phil Coulson and talk about a little bit of Marvel. And
That's great.
And I already said this before we started this, but I still love your background.
Got to get into the mood, you know?
Yeah. I don't have my mood. The only thing I have in the mood is right there.
That's all right. It tells the story.
Yeah. So, what do you want to talk about first, you think you feel comfortable with?
Well, I want to... This light is too bright here. Hang on. It's right in my eye. There, that's a little more manageable.
Okay. So what do you want to start talking about?
Well, the thing that I think I'm known for most on Instagram, obviously, it's how you found me, is cosplaying as Agent Coulson. And so to just talk about that a bit and about Marvel and about cosplay in general, I think anything like that works for me. And whatever questions you have.
Why Phil Coulson?
Well, yeah, that's kind of an interesting story. You would think that with this hairline that I'd be a natural for Coulson and would have realized it very early on. But in fact, it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I had been attending conventions since I was a little kid, actually. My mom was a big Star Trek fan and would take me to conventions she says I was 18 months old when I went to my first convention.
Wow.
And so I've been going for a long time and wearing costumes to them for a very long time. But had pretty much been until 2014, I had been going to Star Trek, Star Wars, or Doctor Who conventions. And that was pretty much it. And sometimes I would wear a costume, sometimes I wouldn't, depend on what I had on hand. So then I live in the St. Louis, Missouri area, and we in St. Louis finally got a decent-sized convention in Wizard World in 2013. And then in 2014, it came back. And my daughter, at the time, she was, I think, 5 at that time. And she was going to wear a Captain America sweatshirt to go to the convention in. And I thought, well, what can I do to match her? And then I just was thinking, and I thought, well, I have a suit, and I have aviator sunglasses, and I have a very high forehead. And so I thought, well, I can go as Agent Coulson. Printed off a ID card off the internet, and off we went to the convention. And I was shocked at how many people said, you look just like him, and wanting pictures. And I'd never experienced this before. It was unbelievable. And I caught the bug. So I was only going to do Coulson the one day, but I went back the next day as Coulson, and the same kinds of reactions. And so it was just something that I had never thought about before. Never occurred to me that I looked anything like Clark Gregg. And so kind of the rest is history. I just caught that bug, and the more you put into it, the more people appreciate it, and you kind of feed off that energy, and then it kind of becomes its own thing. And it's definitely taken on a life of its own, as evidenced by my background, which is in my basement.
It looks like I'm ready for his saluting. No.
Yeah, that's right. I set up knowing that stay-at-home orders were probably coming down the line. I thought, well, what can I do to make this more interesting and something that I can do from home without going to conventions and this kind of thing. And I thought, well, what if I gave press conferences as Agent Coulson related to the pandemic, from the fictional world, but touching very much on the real world. And I thought, well, I need a background that looks like a press conference at a government agency. And so that's where this came from. And I've done several of those that have been pretty well received.
Yeah. And you do pretty good at them. I save them all every time
Thank
you do
you.
it. And
Thank you.
I'm like, every time I see them, I'm like, feels like I'm in the cinematic universe.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Exactly what I'm hoping for. Thank you.
I don't know if you heard of the NY Tony Stark lookalike.
I have, yeah. He and I are mutuals and message back and forth every now and then. He's a busy guy, but I'm waiting for him to. I put a couple of TikToks out there, and I'm waiting for him to go down his list to get to those. It'll be pretty cool. But yeah,
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy to talk to.
seems to be, yes.
I'm hoping to go to New York one of these days when he does his little pictures,
Mm-hmm.
because I do Spider-Man.
Right, yes, that would be great.
Yeah, and I'm like, I have Edith with me. That means I want a picture of him doing this to me. He's like,
of course,
handing me him.
of course, yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a regret I have that at least in the movies, Agent Coulson and Spider-Man will never have any interactions. And
It stinks because
Yeah,
I think they would get along in a way.
I think so. And Spider-Man's always been my favorite superhero since I was a kid, and so to know that at least in the movies those two aren't going to meet up, that's a little disappointing. But filling in the gap, we had the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon
Yes.
series from a couple of years ago, and Principal Coulson, so they had a lot of interaction on that show. And then
I was thinking finding some sounds for that for you.
I've been on the lookout.
It's maybe if you do, just tag me in it. I'll
All right,
do
I
my
will do that.
my
I will
duet.
do-
And I'm actually thinking getting that suit from the Ultimate Comics.
Oh, okay.
That means it'd be kind of cool to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Then there's this Cumbermatch guy.
Yes, yep. I've mutuals with him as well. Yeah, he's pretty great also. Again,
Yeah, all these
another
lookalikes.
another character that Coulson doesn't interact with. But you know what? It's the Marvel universe. Anything can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, you like I can clearly tell you like Doctor Who from the convention idea.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite Doctor then?
Number 4.
He's my favorite if I had to say classic wise,
Mm-hmm.
because of his crazy hair, the scarf, everything.
Right. Yeah. It's back in the day, Doctor Who was only on PBS, and only if they raised enough money for the series to continue to broadcast on PBS. Way before BBC America or anything like that. And so Tom Baker was the Doctor when I started watching that, and then catching up on some of the previous Doctors. But then, so he was kind of the only option at that time. So fortunately, a pretty good option.
Yeah, he's a good Doctor, I'll admit. And I clearly you can tell from my username on YouTube/TikTok and Instagram is Tennant, after David Tennant.
Yes.
A lot of people say I look similar to him, like I could be his son.
I can see it.
Yeah, a little bit. And I have a picture. Let me see if I can reach it. There it is.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's your profile picture.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Makes
Yeah,
my
I could definitely see it. That's great.
And my friend, of course, says it. And he's like saying, "Oh, you guys look so close together." And I'm like, we're in the middle of a conversation.
Right.
For joking around. I'm talking to a Time Lord right now.
I know, right? Yeah. Give me a minute.
I want to meet Tom Baker in chance if I can.
That would be amazing. I don't know how old he is these days.
I think he's in his 70s or 80s.
Yeah, he would have to be. I don't know that he does many conventions, but that would be great if some opportunity arose.
Yeah, I bet you will be jealous if I did that.
I would indeed.
I'll mention you in it. How's that sound?
I'll take that. I'll take it. That's a pretty cool thing to meet your favorites. That's one of the great things about living in these times, prior to the pandemic shutting everything down, of course, but the greater availability of conventions and guests that are willing to travel and to different parts of the country and things that I never imagined that I would ever really be able to do on a regular basis, certainly, or to have the opportunity on a regular basis to meet so many people that are my favorites and those of my kids and our role models and all of that. It's an amazing thing to be able to do that. I hope that we can get back to some sense of that when all of this becomes whatever it's going to be.
Average, what I call it. Because some of my family are doctors. That means they're saying it will get passed. And I show them your videos, and they're like saying, "Yeah, we need somebody like that in the real world to talk about that."
Right.
But if you don't count the Inhumans talking about it,
right.
And that's the only thing they said today, because they saw your video today, and I'm like, they're like saying, I don't know about the mutants and Inhumans, but everything else.
There's a little animosity there. Yeah.
He was joking around with me. But I'm like, what are you talking about? There's mutants out there. Everybody's a mutant of their own gene.
That's very true.
And I've been a fan of your TikTok, but I never got the chance. So I'm like, I don't know if he's going to answer if this is possible, this video. And now look at us right now. We're talking.
Here we are.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, sadly, I'm not sitting on my desk because my chair broke.
Oh.
I'm sitting on my comfortable bed. That's a plus. That's the only plus.
This is not a time for things to be breaking down, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can tell from your pictures on Instagram you met the guy who plays Phil Coulson.
I have. Yep. I've met Clark Gregg. I think 7 times over the course of the years. Really starting, I met him the first time in 2017 at WonderCon in Anaheim. Jeez. And I met him then 6 times since then at various conventions. My family and I were invited to be at the Captain Marvel world premiere in Hollywood. Oh. I got to see him again there at the red carpet. And then in a magical moment, we stayed in the hotel where the after party for the premiere was. And we didn't have access to the festivities, but as guests in the hotel, we could still walk around the hotel. And so I was going to go down to the first floor from our room just to see what I could see. And the door opens in the elevator, and there's Clark Gregg with his family. And,
that's awesome.
So that was pretty cool. And it was amazing to me to hear him introduce me by name to his wife and daughters. So he definitely knows who I am, and
that means that's good. He recognized you. That's a good sign.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Again, something that I never would have thought in a million years would be something that would excuse me. Sorry, a little dust.
Yeah, it's okay. Even when you look down, you look like him. No offense.
Let's try that. Maybe. Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
One of the problems with doing this in the basement, there's dust down here.
Yeah, soon I'm going to have like my own little base area for myself in the basement. I hope. That means I'm going to try and make it look like the Spider-Man's base down there.
That would be awesome. That's another one of my projects. One of my another quarantine cosplay project. The not only this press conference background, but building other backgrounds that would simulate a brick wall, and then that might simulate what would look like the inside of the shield base, that kind of thing, to if I can't go to conventions, I'll make my own opportunities here at home.
Yeah. When you first saw him, what did he say exactly? When he saw
Say that
you,
again.
like when Kevin seen you first time, did
Oh.
he like say, "Oh, did he say, oh, that's cool, you're Phil Coulson"?
And Clark Gregg,
Yeah, I mean,
when you saw
Clark.
me the
Sorry,
first
I was
time.
thinking.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. So at WonderCon, Agents of Shield usually does a panel and a signing. They've done that for many years at WonderCon, and so I went in 2017 with my mom, and they were going to have another panel and a signing. And let's see, that was on Saturday. So the way they did it then is you would line up early in the morning, and then you'd go through and you'd pick out of a bag, you'd pick a ticket, and if it had a star or something like that on it, then you won a ticket to the signing. So on Friday, so that happens on Saturday morning. On Friday, I ran into the people who operated at the time the Agents of Shield social media accounts, and they took my picture and I gave them my card. I have Agent Coulson business cards that I hand out at conventions that has my cosplay handle and whatnot on it. So I gave them that, and then the next morning went to get the ticket, and my mom actually pulled the ticket. I didn't, but she gave it to me. And I was in line then to go for the signing, and I get a notification that the Agents of Shield folks are messaging me and inviting me to come to the signing. And well, I'm already there, and they said, "Well, come up front." So I was dressed as Coulson from the framework Coulson from season 4 of Shield, when Coulson is a teacher. And when I walked in, you could see the cast. So they're on the opposite wall of me, lined up, and you could see the cast pointing at me and tapping Clark and pointing at me, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So I finally got around to him, and he the first thing he said was, "I'm a little freaked out right now," and then he came around the table and took a picture with me, and so that was cool. That was pretty cool. And I heard later that he talked about that for quite a while after the signing. When I met one of the other cast at a different convention, told me that he had talked about that quite a while, because at that point that costume had only been on screen for about 2 seconds at the end of the previous episode, which had been a month or two prior to that. So that was a pretty great moment. Yeah.
When you meet somebody, and especially who you cosplay as, you're just like doing the pointing thing.
Right.
Like on David Tennant, clearly he likes Spider-Man. That means that's why he's pointing at my suit.
Gotcha.
Like, oh, he's like saying, "I love the suit." He's like, "Where did you get it?" And I'm like telling him where I got it. Sadly, that one's battle damaged now. I made it into a battle damaged suit. And
okay.
And I'm like, I wore it twice in Cleveland only, because I was from Ohio, now in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And when I was waiting in line, I thought this was a dream the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you felt the same way.
I did.
Lines.
I did.
It just feels like a dream state, but you're not.
That's right.
Yeah.
You just can't believe it even as it's happening. You can't believe it's happening.
Yeah, I met him on March 4th on 2018 in Wizard World in Cleveland.
Okay.
That's how recent it was. It still feels like a dream to me.
Yeah.
Then
I'm
I
glad
met
we have photos to prove that those things actually happened.
Yeah. Even so, if that didn't happen, I'll still be glad to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not. I have like a video, like a legal photo, or like a video of my grandma accidentally filmed it of me talking. She was meant to take a picture.
Sure.
And she's like accidentally did a video, and I think she did it on purpose for a joke.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's
And you
great.
can
So
see
you have
you can see me talking to him, and he's understanding what I'm saying. You can clearly tell.
hmm That's amazing.
Yeah,
It's great to
that's
have the photos, but to have video and audio to hear that how those conversations went. That's pretty great.
what is your limit to go to a cosplay? Like, how far do you go to your conventions?
I have been to, let's see, I guess I've been to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle a couple of times. I've been to WonderCon a couple of times, and I've been to San Diego Comic Con once. So San Diego, I think, is the furthest that I've gone for one. I keep going. I'm from California originally, so I think that's probably why I gravitate towards the West Coast. But being in St. Louis, we're pretty much as close to the East Coast as we are to the West. But yeah, I always seem to gravitate towards the West. I
Are
think
you
the
like?
farthest, I think the farthest Eastern con I've been to is Cincinnati Comic Expo. I think that's the farthest east I've been.
Oh, you ever thought about going to Philly Ace Con?
It has occurred to me. It has, yeah. Now we have one in Chicago, in Ace, and we went to that one in October. Chicago's not very far from us, so they get pretty good convention. C2E2 is a great con, and we've been to that several times.
I would recommend it because there is a character. If you read the comics when you were a kid, I don't know if you did or not, like the old Marvel comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jim Steranko.
Oh yeah, sure.
He goes there every year.
Okay.
And I met him, and I'm a big artist myself. I draw because of him, and he was there, and I'm like,
yeah.
What am I didn't even know he was there until like 3 hours before he left.
Okay.
That means he came, and luckily he's like, okay, I will let you talk to you and take pictures with you for free, without money, if your stepmom's in the photo.
Yeah.
I'm not using the word why he said it, because hot stepmom. That's what
Gotcha. Right.
Because that's how old-fashioned he is. I'm like, okay,
Wow.
we can bargain with this. We can do it.
Sure.
And I had to like drag my stepmom to it, and she's like, "Why I had to be in a photo?" I'm like, let's just say he has a old-fashioned style.
That was very diplomatic of you.
I felt bad telling her afterwards, like, because she was my ride and she took me,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to tell her in the car that. I felt she was going to like jump and take me out. It's like, you're out the car.
Right. Wow. Well,
But it's good to be honest in the end.
well, sure.
Because that's how I am. I'm Spider-Man. I have to be honest with that.
There you go. Except with your secret identity, of course.
Yeah. Only Phil Coulson of S.H.I.E.L.D. knows, and S.H.I.E.L.D. and
That's
Tony
right.
Stark now.
Yep. We keep track of all those things.
You can trust me with that. Yeah, and then, you should go next year. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I will. I'll keep it in mind.
And if you do, just shout, and I'll maybe go.
Sure.
Because Jim Steranko is bugging me about it. I have his email because he gave it to me.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And he's like, are you going to Ace Comic Con next year? Invite your friends, whoever knows me. I'm like, yeah, sure. I will do that.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you go, I can introduce you to him.
Yeah. I will let you know if that ends up happening.
Speaking of this virus going on, I hope you're doing well. Everybody doing well in your family.
Yep. So far, so good. My wife works in healthcare as well, and so she, is not exactly on the front lines. She works in a rehab hospital, and so not quite the same as working in an acute hospital, but still certainly a risk.
That's a good. We need people like that. That's what my stepmom, not my stepmom, but my real mom is a nurse, and my stepdad is a director of a nursing.
Oh.
That means I know what it's like.
Yeah.
And you can tell her personally, say Spider-Man or no, Tenet, whatever you want to call me, says it. Good job so far. I
will. Thank you.
Because I respect people who do that. And my uncle's learning how to be a doctor as we speak.
Yeah, so far so good.
That's good. I wanted to mention that. And guys, if you guys want to follow Brian over here, he gave you his. You can send it to me, all the links to your accounts, and I'll put it on the video.
Sure.
Because
Do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Of course, you guys can subscribe to me, but I think Brian needs it right now. Just keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because every time I see your videos, it makes me smile and like takes me out of this world.
Yeah. That's one of the things about cosplay, I think, that is so appealing. It certainly is to me, but I think it is for a lot of people. It's kind of like with a really good book or a TV series that you're really into, or a movie that really kind of captures your imagination, that pulls you into it, kind of makes you feel a part of it. Cosplay is a way to feel part of whatever it is that you're cosplaying, to feel a part of that show, or the movie, or whatever. But then that's great for yourself, but it does the same thing for other people who are viewing that as well. It kind of gives you the illusion, even for a brief time, but still an illusion that these people are real, that this is a real thing, and not in a not in a bad way of thinking that by any means, but in the sense of like a movie or a TV show, that it just allows you can allow yourself to become a part of that reality. You can allow yourself, through your imagination, to become a part of the world where those people really do exist. And I think that's helpful. And I think I think it can be therapeutic. And I think if nothing else, it's a nice, I don't want to say distraction, but in some ways, yes. But as you say, something that makes you smile, and that's a great joy to me, to see the people who react to seeing me as Agent Coulson, and when I hand them a business card, and how excited people get. It's a great feeling for me to know that I have brought some joy to someone else through this character.
Yeah, when I wear my suit, I just see the kids' eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They pop in a way, and you're just like, you feel that responsibility to keep the character alive for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great feeling.
Do you have kids follow you and say, "Oh, it's you, Coulson"?
It does. It does happen. Although I'm afraid that the further away we get from some of the movies, which I think is how most kids are at least first exposed to the character, I'm a little concerned that he might fade a little ways into the background. But I'm counting on parents to point out who I am, and to make those kinds of connections for them if they don't recognize them. But everyone should be starting with the early movies anyway, and he's in a lot of those.
Yeah, I grew up with because I'm only 19 years old, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up with when it started. That means it's kind of like watching you are like in a film for me.
Yeah.
That means you brought it back to life. Phil Coulson. Cool. And I showed my little brothers your account before I did this idea. And it's like, what if I talk to this guy? They're like, there's no way you could do it. Say he looks like Phil Coulson. He could be lying to you and saying he's Phil Coulson. If they're watching this now, you're going to pay back, right? Proof right here. This is not a robot, guys.
That's right. No, not an LMD. Or maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe I don't even know.
Maybe they don't know if I am one.
That's true.
We could be all.
It would be convenient to have at least one LMD around to go to the store, so you don't have to break your quarantine,
Yeah. And did you have, is that a shield, the clear thing you had in one of the picture?
Yeah, the hollow shield.
How did you make that?
That I didn't make that myself. That came from Etsy, and an Etsy account called Kim the Props Maker. And it seemed that he makes a lot of the Doctor Strange spell things that light
Oh,
up,
that's cool.
the spell effect. But he had one of those shields on there, and I had seen it, I think, at Dragon Con in some pictures, and I thought, well, that thing is awesome. So I looked into it, and it's a little on the expensive side, so I tried to talk myself out of it. But I thought that thing is just too cool. I got to get one of those. So I did. So the Hollow Shield, I was and continue to be really impressed with it. And it's very eye-catching, and who doesn't want to carry a shield around? You know,
Yeah, and
it's
it has
pretty
the
great.
real Shield logo. It has the Shield
Exactly.
logo, and it's a shield. That's
There you go.
I
That's
have two
right.
Captain America shields. One of them's
Okay.
a book bag. One right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then let's see. One hiding in here.
Ah, yes.
Has the Black Panther marks.
Nice.
Yeah, well, the best thing is about doing videos like talking to you, for example, is like we get along and we know what we are talking about.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if we feel like we're connected in a way.
Sure.
Like a family. That's what I call it. Like a Marvel family. Like on Instagram, for example, I'm in a group called the Spider-Verse family.
Okay.
And you can guess what it is
Right.
by the name. Just imagine all these spider people talking in one place.
That would be pretty amazing. In the suits, I assume.
Yes, definitely. And the person I get a lot because people say I would look like a Peter Parker
Yeah, totally.
if they had to make a new one. And I'm like, I think like Peter Parker sometimes. I'm like, okay, this mechanical web shooter could work, but not work in this way. My friend wants to make a real mechanical web shooter so it works. Like you can actually sling from it.
Wow.
He's a really genius.
I hope he starts off at very low altitudes.
Yeah, that's why I told him. I told him don't do like Peter did in the comics. It's like go somewhere high. I hear that every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Start low and work yourself up.
Stay in the low ground or then to the high ground. No Anakin.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. The thing I don't know what to say, but I'm like, what is your favorite comic then? If you had to choose from your childhood.
Gosh. All time or currently?
It can be both if you want.
Okay. Well, currently I'm really enjoying the current Avengers run. I'm way behind on it now. I haven't, of course, I haven't been to the comic store for several weeks, and I went right before we had our stay-at-home order, and
Same here.
got a whole bunch of them from my pull list, but I've been so busy since that time, I haven't been able to touch any of them, but I really enjoyed that run, and I think that the whole concept of the Avengers 1 million BC or whatever the year is that they've attached to that, I think it's a really interesting concept to think that these powered individuals have been around since prehistoric times, and the ones that we know of as Captain America, Ghost Rider, Iron Fist, and so forth, that they are just the latest incarnations of the people to wield those powers going back millennia. I think that's super interesting.
Then your classic.
Oh man, that's
hitting the hard one. That's for me. I can't tell you mine because I grew up with almost every era.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, I think the indicator is being that I have that I collected all of them is a pretty good indicator that at the time it was my favorite, and that was Rom, the Space Knight.
Oh my gosh, I didn't read those for ages now.
Yeah, it's I'm going back a ways now.
I read old comics. My stepdad has like a whole collection,
Okay.
and he introduced me to the comics, like the old classic ones, like Steve Ditko and
Yeah.
Jim Steranko himself.
Sure.
I even have like the old Ancients of Shield comics, like the hardback ones.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I mean, like the original printing and everything.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's like all the way down here. All these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can tell I have a lot. See if I can find one of the Ancients of Shield. You can ask me any question if you want.
Oh gosh. What's been your take on the most recent incarnation of Spider-Man in the movies with
Like
with Tom
Holland?
Holland? Are you pretty pleased with that? I know some people are, and yet there are some comic diehards who don't
There,
like some of the changes that have been made with him.
there is a lot of things I don't. It's like a yes and no situation.
Sure.
It just matters what you grew up with.
Right.
Because I grew up with Toby so much. That means I'm a diehard Toby fan.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big deal for me. If I that.
Yeah.
Here's the one. Yeah.
Oh
Here's
yeah.
one of the old comics I have.
Great. I also remember really enjoying the original Secret Wars.
I have those somewhere in here.
Yeah. That's
I
probably
love the Secret Wars.
probably the comic I have that's worth the most is, I think it's number 8, but the introduction of the black suit Spider-Man.
Keep that safe. I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would frame it. There goes the phone. There goes all the comics and falling in one place. Yeah, I would love to read all those. Here's one of my favorite comics of all time. Let's see if I can flip the screen and you can see it. There we go.
Oh wow.
It comes with those commercials.
Yeah. Gosh.
And it still has the original poster from it. Never took it out once.
Now, what year does that go back to?
Oh, I don't. Let's see.
Is it 30th anniversary? Is that what it said?
Yeah. Giant size 30th anniversary. That means 1992.
Okay.
I have the old one somewhere in here. Oh, there you go. Oh,
Nice.
here I flipped the camera.
Oh yeah.
And original Shield logo.
Yep. And it
Yeah,
stood for something different back then. When they reintroduced Shield in the movies, they changed what the acronym stands for.
Yep. And you can tell this is like the original printing.
Yep.
This is just one of them I have. Well, there's the person who wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're familiar with him. Those are good comics I collect in my life. Some of them are pretty old and torn apart because how packaging works here.
Sure.
All the packaging back and forth, traveling so much.
Right.
Trying to get the person to sign them before they leave, and sometimes they leave, and I'm like, so close.
Right.
Yeah, Tom Holland, I give him he's like a C plus in the grading system.
Sure.
He's not the best Spider-Man, but we got him. That means That's what
Yeah,
matters.
you know, it's kind of I've heard similar things about folks for whom Toby was their first Spider-Man, and similar things. It
60s
kind
was
of
my first Spider-Man, but
yeah, right. So it's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of the Star Wars prequels, and people who were fans of the original trilogy, look down on the prequels pretty
yeah,
significantly. And yet, if you were someone who grew up and maybe those were your first Star Wars movies, or you saw those at a time when you were seeing all of them kind of at the same time, people who are in that kind of situation look at them very differently. So I suspect that it's perhaps a similar thing with Spider-Man.
yeah. I like them all evenly. They just have different qualities they
Hmm.
need to be. Yeah, I mean, we have one. I'm not complaining,
Right.
but
Yeah.
there is some flaws, like everybody does. Everybody has a flaw.
Right.
I mean, so you can't have a perfect Spider-Man.
And they were handicapped in a sense by having to integrate him into the MCU that had already been very well established by that point.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big challenge. As you say, better to have Spider-Man in whatever way we can get him than not at all.
Yeah, a lot of people are thinking. One of my friends said, "What if Phil Coulson met Spider-Man in the What If series?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
he survived Avengers?"
hmm
And of course he did,
right, right.
but what if he like got to meet like every? I think that'd be a kind of a nice opportunity. They brought him back in MCU, like him helping Peter in the third film.
Yeah, yeah.
Phil Coulson,
That would be great. I'm afraid that ship has sailed, but it
yeah.
sounds like that we're getting Sword introduced in one of these upcoming series, and so there's at least an opportunity for someone in the organization to interact with those characters, and maybe have that kind of a role that Coulson would have had.
I think Coulson would, if he never died that early in the film,
Hmm.
he would like help out Peter in the struggle, like how Happy would. But
Hmm.
I think Phil Coulson would have been a better sub for that. I can think he would be a more father figure and helping Peter in the way.
Yeah, it could kind of go either way. The um, in the movies, Coulson was so much the kind of the company man, kind of the straight man, and funny with a dry sense of humor, but you didn't get a whole heck of a lot of emotion necessarily out of him. Uh, Most of that came uh, from the TV show. We really
Yeah.
had that sort of fleshed out, but and I think that was part of the appeal of his character, is you had this company man, this guy who would show up and do his job, and um, be a little bit of comic relief in the course of that, and
Yeah.
I think that was part of the appeal.
Yeah, I'm thinking actually am making a film of Spider-Man personally, because then we can have my own cinematic universe to control.
That would be amazing.
And I would like, if I need a Phil Coulson, I know you.
I'm ready. Just let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's this school near my house. It looks like Midtown High.
Oh man, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. And then, I'm sorry if you hear that screaming in the background. That's my dad freaking out. It's like crazy, like always. He's like, he's like energetic more than me.
Well, we all have families that are how they are.
I don't mind it. It's just that sometimes it's like I told him clearly, tried to be a little quiet, and it echoed through my room. And I mean, I'm like, I tried.
You were talking about making your own movies, and I think that's another pretty amazing thing about this time that we're living in. And when I was growing up, cameras, video recording cameras were originally, they were literally film, and then the first one that we ever had was a camcorder, so it had a VHS tape that you would stick into the camera, and then that's how you would record that, and it was so big that you'd have to rest it on your shoulder, and kind of put your hand through the thing that way. But that's how big it was, and nowadays, you can record and make high quality movies, at least high quality, certainly compared to that. But high quality movies just using your phone, and apps and Photoshop, and you can create really good productions for a fraction of the cost, and in a very user friendly manner. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
so
I'm
I
like,
hope you do it.
yeah, I hope too. I'm just trying to find a writer.
Yeah.
Who's committed to do it. I already got a costume designer. His name's AJ. If the fans on my channel know who I'm talking about, but my friend AJ, he's a talented artist more than me of costume design, and he said he will make it.
Yeah.
Most of the costumes, and we're thinking of even having like Chameleon as the villain, because we never seen him.
Right.
And that's why I'm thinking having Shield in it. Shield needs help Spider-Man out with it.
Yeah. Well, these days, like I said, it would be pretty easy, I think, at least for someone who knew how to do it. I don't know that that's me, but for people who know how to do it, to almost have you could record scenes in one city and just integrate them with your own film. There are ways to do those kinds of things, or if nothing else, to get do a Spider-Man has to do a video chat with Agent Coulson.
Yeah,
easy enough to do there.
And if not, we can always say, hey, you need to film this scene for us, and you can use your own camera and you can send it to us.
Right, exactly. That's as challenging and anxious as these times are. In many ways, the time period we're living in now is just unparalleled in terms of things that we as fans are able to do for ourselves and for others.
Yeah. Yeah, the film, and the idea is I tell them the plot, my idea for the plot is Peter Parker is in trouble, and there's the Chameleon trying to act like him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to act like Spider-Man the whole time, and Shield needs to help him create some traps and stuff. And I thought Phil Coulson would help with that idea. I always like the humor in the Ultimate cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Spider-Man gadgets.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I have this.
Yeah, I totally want to do that.
I will hire you in the spot if you do the right audition, and I bet you would.
It would be a pleasure.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you have to do your own Phil Coulson voice. It's your character.
Right.
Make it your own. And it'd be if you guys want Brian to be in the film, comment that. I'll say Brian in the film, comment. I bet you right now there's going to be a comment of that, because I know somebody who would comment that after this video, because her keyword is Rose Tyler.
Okay.
That means you can watch this video when it's posted and look for that. And if you see that, just let me know.
All right.
If I see it before you or you see it before me.
Gotcha.
I'll let you know. Gotcha.
Thank you.
And if your kids want to be in the film, so be it, and they can be in the film.
All right. Well, we'll see how it all shakes out. But any opportunity like that would be a lot of fun, I think.
I bet they would too. Love to join.
Mm-hmm.
How old are, if you don't mind me asking, how old is your kids?
13 and 10.
That means it'd be kind of cool because I think Coulson would have kids in this universe, my universe.
Yeah.
That means it would be perfect.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard thing to imagine, that Coulson's whole uh, life has been based so much around his career, and yet when we get to Avengers, we hear about the cellist that he's in a relationship with, and so we get this little insight that there's more to this guy than just doing the job. That's clearly what is perhaps most important to him, but it's not the only thing that is important to him. And of course, that all gets fleshed out in the TV show about the things that that he has sacrificed in order to do the job and to make that his career. But that's not necessarily how he would do it if he would do it all over again.
I think in my universe, he has kids because that's why he's fighting.
Yeah.
And he has to have somebody.
It's a powerful motivator, I can tell you that. I'm sure it's true with your family as well. But I know for me that's for my family, it's extra incentive for me to do the things I need to do to be careful and to encourage them to do the same.
Yeah, and to me, because I originally was from just me and my mom, and then became with my stepdad. And like last year, literally, my real dad married somebody, and they want to have a family, and I moved over with them. Then they can have it.
Mm-hmm.
Let my mom have her family, new family. Now, family is a strong thing. That means I want that to be in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the great all-time motivators and plot devices for films and TV shows and comics, for that matter.
Coulson to me, he feels like he's a family man.
Mm-hmm.
And he has.
In some ways, the agency was a family to him. Fury and the folks that he worked with. They were the people that he knew he could count on, and they knew they could count on him. And that's certainly at least one element of what family is.
Yeah, and I think because he has two families in this, the Shield family he knows and works with, but because I want him to feel like he's like a figure for Peter in this film, somebody he can run to and talk to when he needs it.
Yeah.
And I'll be like,
there's a book by Jim Beard, and it's called what is it called? I have it. It's a Spider-Man book, but Agent Coulson features pretty heavily in it. And while he doesn't quite have that kind of relationship with Peter, it's definitely, there are some mentoring aspects in their relationship in the book. If I can find it here, I'll tell you, because it's good. It's really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, and I love the family idea, because what if that is because I think it's like he has family and anybody can do this.
Yeah.
But Phil Coulson means a lot to me, my character, to my Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah.
Because he trusts him. Like, he can be Uncle Phil, for example. He's like, hey, what's up, Uncle Phil? On the phone. I can see him doing it. And I'm not going to be Spider-Man, sadly, but I'm going to do a lot of cameo in it. Like Stan Lee did, but...
Yeah.
Because he for a memorial for him. Because he did cameos for his creation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if I do a creation, my own version of Spider-Man, and have him memorized? And the cool thing is, I'm thinking even like doing for a thing, for like the school scene, best janitors of the year, and then show Stan Lee's picture.
There you go.
For his sake, because he's more like a caretaker.
Right. Right. So that book is it's called Spider-Man: Enemies Closer
Okay.
by Jim Beard, and you can get it on Amazon for it's not even $6, and it's really good. It's really entertaining. I think you would enjoy it.
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and any questions for me for the film, if you want to know?
Not at the moment, but I will look forward to hearing more about it.
Yeah. Any questions personally, like you want to know about me, you can ask me.
I got nothing. I got nothing right this second.
I just had one and then I lost it. My grandfather, he died. One of my grandfathers died a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him about this film, and I don't know if I mentioned to you at all, but I told him, say, I'm thinking of having somebody on my film who looks like Phil Coulson, maybe. I think I mentioned that to him. I think I did. And he's like, "Go for it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do anything like crazy like Young Frankenstein over here." Like me and him love that movie. That means.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a time and a place.
Yeah, he's like, "Go for it. You can do a film. I have the creative mind for it," he said.
Yeah.
And I want all these characters to be united. And I'm even having Nick Fury in it, and he just hangs up on it, like does that, and it's like, "Shut up, Nick."
Right.
I want to talk to Phil, not you. And like covers it. Because I like that idea. I'm thinking actually like getting that toy they have for the Ultimate show.
Right.
And just put it on my suit for some scenes and put a green screen where the screen is, and then add Phil in it, and then looks like he's talking to Phil on.
Yeah, that would be super cool. One of the things that I've enjoyed over the last 6 months, I guess longer than that now, 8 to 10 months now, is I was asked to be this character in a film, locally produced film, but feature length, and not Agent Coulson because of the copyright issues, of course, but Agent Philip, and it's a time traveling feature called Vengeur, which is French for Avenger. It has nothing to do with the heroes, the Avengers per se, but rather a time traveling reincarnation sort of film in which the main character is an Avenger against her nemesis throughout all of these different time periods. And so I played this character, Agent Philip, in the modern times. But so that's been a really interesting experience to me, to be an actor really for the first time in my life, but to also see how movies are made behind the scenes and everything that just goes into it. It was a really fascinating thing to be a part of.
I bet. Yeah, it's just I'm even probably making a Star Wars fan film myself just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, basically, man, why not? Go for it.
And my uncles and me are doing it, and it's called the Old Republic. It's like in the Old Republic era.
Yeah. That would be super cool.
And I already got my character's name, Jedi Padawan Nova Star Myth.
Okay.
It just sounds like a Star Wars name.
It does.
He's just a Padawan. He's kind of like Anakin and Luke and Rey mixed together.
Okay.
If you want to get personality-wise, he listens, but he doesn't listen at the same time. He's very curious. Even we're thinking even having like some alien with an owl head
Oh yeah,
as one of the masters in the Old Republic. You know, we're like, yeah, that'd be kind of
right.
fun. It'd
Yeah,
be
why
kind of
not?
fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's like hear him talk like that the whole time.
Do you have a lightsaber already?
Not from Galaxy's Edge, but I got some for the film.
Okay.
We're like making up pipes once because it make it unique to the
Sure.
blade. And I've been since I was a kid doing Anakin versus Obi-Wan
Okay.
fight. That means I'm pretty good with a sword. I'm like, it's like I don't know how I do it, but I do it. Instincts of the Force finds me.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's my mask I told you about.
Oh yeah.
The glorified mask.
Very nice. I have one similar to that.
That'd be funny if you have that. I don't. Have you seen the Ultimate series at all of Spider-Man?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
You know the one he like wears Captain America's uniform underneath. That'd be kind of
Yes.
funny. You could do that scene.
That
Recreate
that would
scene.
be cool. Yeah. I don't have I have a cheap Captain America uniform, so but that's all I would need because it would be underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I might have to do that.
Just get a cheap suit, one of those cheap suits, then you can just like do that. Yeah.
Hey,
Can you still
yeah.
hear me fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Broke up for a little bit there.
Yeah, you kind of did too. That's why I was making sure.
Okay.
Yeah, see, there's the.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I think Shield and would like that suit.
Yeah. I think so.
Did you do that or? It said
I
I had to
did.
sign up. Okay.